Hi everyone, my name is Tracy Lester and I'm going to talk to you about VCE Food Studies. So VCE Food Studies doesn't just relate to careers such as an apprentice chef or a food studies teacher. It can relate to any career that has a focus on health or a focus on food. So anything from a nurse, dietitian, nutritionist, anything to do with sustainability as well as food production, which can relate to our subject. So in Unit 1, we look at food from around the world and we focus on the history and origins of food, where food comes from, how it was produced by our hunter-gatherer ancestors, and how it's produced now, and we compare those. For outcome 2, we look at food in Australia and how the Australian Indigenous people were affected by European settlement and the food that they used to eat, and how our food is produced now. So we look at food production, processing, and manufacturing industries, as well as immigration, and how that has impacted on what we consume. Now, there's also a lot of practical. We do a double lesson of prac each week that relates to the theory that we're doing. For Unit 1 assessment, food from around the world, there's 3 practical tasks and reports on 2 of them, and an oral presentation. For outcome 2, food in Australia, 3 practical tasks and reports on 2 of them, and a practical demonstration, and an exam at the end of the semester. Unit 2 content, we look at Australia's food system and is a focus on the commercial food production and creating new products to meet consumers' needs. For outcome 2, we look at food in the home, creating meals for people's needs in their home, as well as in small scale settings, such as things like food trucks. And there's practical that relates to that. So every week we do a prac that relates to the theory that we're doing. Unit 2 assessment, for area of study 1, Australia's food system, you design and produce a food product that is related to commercial production. So we look at the viability of the product. And then outcome 2, food in the home, and you design and produce a food product that could be sold in a food truck. And then there's an exam at the end of Unit 2. For Unit 3, we look at the science of foods. It's quite a focus on science. We look at eating and the digestive process and how our bodies use macronutrients. We address the Australian dietary guidelines and the reasons for their development. And we look at the nutrition as it relates to specific dietary needs. For outcome 2, we look at food choices and health and well-being. So there's a real focus on healthy eating, particularly for children and families. And we look at people's food choices and what they're eating and why they're eating it. And then there's practical that relates to the theory that we're doing each week. The assessment for Unit 3, we've got 3 pracs and 2 reports and a visual report for outcome 1. Outcome 2, same thing. 3 pracs, 2 reports, and a media analysis, and an exam at the end of Unit 3. For Unit 4, we look at navigating food information. So where we get the information that we learn about food, what we do with it, as well as focusing on specific food trends, food fads, and some of the fad diets that are out there. So we look at different packaging and advertisements of different food products and how companies convince you to buy their food products. For area of study 2, we look at the environment and ethics and the sustainability of food production. So we look at the environment and how farming impacts on the environment. Okay, and again, there are a variety of practical dishes that relate to the topics that we're studying. So for the assessment for Unit 4, outcome 1, there's 3 pracs, 2 reports, and a media analysis. And for Unit 4, outcome 2, we've got research inquiry report on a topic of your choice relating to sustainability. And at the end of the year, there's an exam that uses all of the information from the whole year. So consider doing food studies. It's very interesting. We have quite a bit of practical as well as theory, and it relates to all aspects of food. Okay.